Yo, JD here, Tyrolimus, and as you can see by the title of this video here today, we're going to be talking about quite a controversial subject, which has been a lot of debate in the past for quite a few years now, and there's been quite a lot of little debates recently I've been seeing on Twitter, and I just want to make this video really just to get the opinions of everyone. People use the wheel, people use the controller, how they feel, and my opinion, and basically just a discussion about it. Nothing, trying to not get any controversy or anything, even though it probably will be. But first of all, before I start this video, I just want to say that I feel the wheel should actually be quicker on a racing game. That's something I perfectly do accept, and I do accept that, and I think that's something that it should actually happen. And seriously, I should probably be the most, biased person in terms of speaking for pad players and controllers and stuff like that. But honestly, I perfectly accept that the wheel should be quicker on the game. But this video is really just talking about which one actually is quicker, though, in terms of all the games, not just 2016 or 17, which I'm testing now at the moment. But I'm just going to really just go through the games I've played, and where I feel the wheel or the controller is better than each other, and then I just want to hear what everyone else thinks. Pretty much, this is basically just an open discussion. It's not going to be used really, well, it could be used as feedback or anything for the future, but in my opinion, to start with the video, with my opinion, I feel it's pretty much impossible to get them both the same speed. They're two completely different things, and it's a lot more, there's different skills using both. I think both require an equal amount of skill to get really good on both of them. Same with anything, to be honest. That's why I think anything you do, not just playing games, but just anything you do in life or anything, you've got to put so much time and patience into it, and obviously have the talent on top of that as well to really get the maximum out of it. So when someone says, just because you're using this, or you could use a controller or the wheel, or making it sound like it's easy, believe me, it's not easy, because I've got a wheel, I've got both myself, and obviously I'm still a lot better on the controller because I've been playing that for so many years. But believe me, it's easier said than done. It takes years sometimes to perfect or get the limit or something. But starting off with this, going through the games I've played, 2011, that game was definitely a wheel game. There's no real question about it. To be honest, you don't really need to go through specific games. But yeah, 2011 was definitely a wheel game. I think there's no question about that. In terms of 2012, that's when things got a lot closer compared to 2011. 2010, I'm not actually too sure, because I didn't even play the game. So someone can maybe say it down below. But in terms of 2012, I think in slow speed corners, as you can see around Monaco on 2012, 13 and definitely 16 as well. I think the low speed on 2012, the wheel definitely had an advantage. I'd say maybe a few attempts maybe around the track, I'd say in low speed. In terms of braking on throttle, that's really just completely up to debate, to be honest. You'll be able to see now, I'll probably throw a clip up right about now. This is what I recorded earlier. Just went to TT, just sat in neutral, and then just switched between my pad and controller, and you'll be able to see the input lag when you're actually steering. I think I'm showing the throttle and the braking at the moment. I'll have the animation on the screen which device I'm actually using, if it's the wheel or controller, but you'll be able to see the input lag. That's something that the pad does have. I know wheel users say they have it as well, which I can definitely vouch for, because when you turn, it's not the exact real time. But you'll be able to see with the steering, I think, in a little bit. The wheel is just, you could just be a lot, it's just one motion rather than just side, to the side and then back to the middle. There's a little pause in the middle, which I think a lot of people are getting upset about. I think for me personally, I really don't care anymore. I think I used to maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I was trying so hard to beat people like Noble, Tiro Rosberg, people like that. But now I'm at that stage where I'm just really just enjoying my driving, and I accept that it's quicker. I think it should be quicker, and I think it is quicker, because you can just be so much more precise. I think that's the real benefit of being on the wheel. I think when you actually get up to that speed, when you get to that limit, you can just be so much more consistent, because obviously you can with just the motion, the smoothness you can go, as you can see in the clip I just showed. With the pad, you kind of have to stab at a corner. If you get the line right, then it's fantastic, but if you get the line wrong, there's very little you can do in terms of correcting that or anything. That's something I would say the pad has definitely got a disadvantage in. Areas I think our pad has an advantage in, other than the cost of the device. Obviously it doesn't cost as much as a wheel, but sometimes I feel on traction, even braking, I think as well. I think it's being on the wheel, it's very, very difficult. I think the controller, it's very easy to get in the rhythm on the throttle and braking. It's quite easy to control, I think, at times, particularly in the wet. I think in the wet, the controller is definitely something I'd want to be using over a wheel. But I feel the wheel, you could just be so much more consistent if you're good enough and you're at that speed. And the change of direction as well. I don't feel the wheel, talk about 2016 now, I don't think the wheel has actually any more grip than what the controller has compared to 2011 and 2012, I would say at low speed. The wheel definitely just had more grip than the controller. And 2013, I think maybe at low speed as well. I think in the Monaco hairpin, I think it had about a 5 to 10 mile an hour advantage going around there. And that's just with the lock. I think the wheel actually just had more lock in that game. But in the last few games, or the last couple of games, I feel they are pretty close. I think the 2016 they're pretty close, but I do feel the wheel does have the advantage in my opinion, because it can just switch from one side, switch from one degree of lock to the other just quicker. And when you're going through high speed corners and slow speed chicanes on the controller, when you shift from the having a thumb all the way to the right and then all the way to the left, there's a little delay, and that little delay really does hinder you sometimes. Sometimes it actually benefits you depending on what kind of corner it is. It allows you to hold it, get the line almost perfect. But sometimes when you make a little mistake or you really need to turn quickly, I feel that's when the wheel has gotten an advantage. In terms of traction and braking, to be honest, I don't think you could ever say which one's better. You can maybe argue the wheel can feed it in more, which we saw in that clip earlier. But on the controller, I feel I can feed in my power pretty well. It's just something you really have to get used to. And throughout the games, so 2011, I'd say the wheel's quicker. I think on every game it's been quicker, apart from 2014. And I think the only reason why the pad was actually the pad over one lap wasn't faster than the wheel. That's something I want to say. If you didn't have the traction, the tyre wear, where the wheel basically had no traction control compared to the controller, which is why they were so bad in the race, because they just they had so much wheel spin, they just destroyed their tyres. That's the only reason. But I feel if the wheel had the same traction as the controller, it would have been like a second or lap faster. It had so much more turning. It was crazy. In TT, I think the wheel was definitely quicker than the controller, but in a race situation, simulation settings, then over a race distance, the pad would be dominating, which it did in that game, which is a shame. But 2014, I'd say that's the game where the pad was definitely quicker. 15, I'm not really even too sure, to be honest. I think again it was maybe similar to 2016, where you could just change the direction quicker because the pad has that input lag. But yeah, that's basically, I know this video is not a rant or anything. As I said, I think the wheels should definitely be quicker. This is just pretty much an open discussion in the comments. That's really what I want to know, and your experiences. My experiences with the wheel, getting used to. Obviously, I'm not at the level I am with the controller, but I feel it's definitely something you can just be so much more consistent with. And I think when you get to that level, it's a lot easier to be consistent, and just the precision is what really definitely puts it apart in this game. As you saw of Monaco on 2016, I think Finn did 11.0, and I think our best pad time in qualifying in practice anyway was a 6. So that just shows, and I think that's not down to the wheel just having more grip at all. I don't think that at all. I think it's just to do with maybe the input lag and just with the precision, just how precise you could be in the corners. And I feel that's just how it should be. And the problem is with a controller, they have to have a steering assist, because if you didn't have that and you're just rotating it just with your thumb, which I actually had a glitch when I was at Codemasters in February when I was testing the game, where it literally did that, where there was literally no input lag, and trust me, it was absolutely impossible to control the car. So people would say that's an assist, but you need that in the controller, because if you didn't have that, then you'd just be literally just spinning your wheel, like your steering wheel, like from one side to the other, like insanely fast. So that's the reason why it has it. And that is just basically my thoughts on this video. I know it's not going to be a particularly long video, not real detailed analysis or anything, but I've seen a lot of controversy recently, and I just want to say that for me, I expect the wheel to be quicker. I'm perfectly happy with that completely. All I want is it to be reasonably close, but to be honest, it's impossible to get them the same speed. That's just something it's pretty much impossible to do, but I think they have the advantages on both. It's up to whoever who wants to use it, uses whichever input device they want to do. But I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. If you strongly feel that the controller is faster, if you feel the wheel is insanely OP and needs to be nerfed or something like that, then I'm interested to hear that and your experiences on the F1 game. So as always, thank you so much for support on the channel recently. It's been really insane to see, so thank you so much, and I will catch you next video, which will be my Monaco highlights on the controller, so that would be good to watch. So thank you, and catch you next time. Cheers.